Om. Om. Om.
ॐ शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः।
Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, Bhasya, verse 48. Please read the verse.
सहजं कर्म कौन्तेय सदोषमपि न त्यजेत् सर्वारम्भा हि दोषेण धूमेनाग्निरिवावृताः।
The discussion is, can the Atma, even in the case of ignorant person, give up the karmas totally? What Vedanta says, or Bhagavan Krishna has said, an ignorant person can never give up karma totally. This needs to be established by taking into account other schools of thoughts. Two things we have seen, two notions we have seen. Atma is always chalanatmaka kriyavan. Second, Vijnanavadi Baudas, that is, kriya itself is karta, the atma, doer atma. These were not correct because if atma were all the time chalanatmaka kriyavan, moksha is never possible. Karmas are in the realm of dualities, and therefore moksha is impossible. Vijnanavadi Bauddha says that kriya itself is karta, this thing. But there, Vijnana is kshanika, momentary, and therefore this cannot hold good. But this discussion is not given here because it is not the topic here. In this context, the third paksha of Vaisheshika was given, who says, when Atma is karta, the doer, then he does it. And when he doesn't do it, he is nishkriya, free from actions. Their concept of Atma is something little different in the sense they include Atma in one of the 9 Nitya Dravyas. Dravyas means things, substances. And this Atma, according to them, by itself is not Sachetana. There is another Dravya called Manaha. And when Atma Mana Sanyoga takes place, combination of Atma and Mana takes place, the Nipti knowledge principle is born. That is where the Chaitanya, Sachaitanya comes. This is what they say. So therefore, they take Atma as a Dravya, a substance. And according to their philosophy, Dravya is born from Paramanus. Means Dravya, Atma is the effect of Paramanu. And what they say is, a Karya, the effect born from Karana Paramanu is non-existent, the Paramanu's Karana. But by Sanyoga, connection with Samavayi Karana, the effect Dravya comes into existence. It continues for some time and afterwards it gets destroyed and it becomes non-existent. So that means Atma was earlier non-existent in the Paramanus. This Samavaya, etc., Karanas, it was born, it exists, and afterwards, what happens? It gets destroyed and again becomes non-existent. This is being refuted. This is what is called as Asat Karyavada. Karya, the effect was non-existent in the cause. It is born, exists, it gets destroyed and becomes non-existent. This is Abhagavata Mata. This is not what Krishna has told in 2nd chapter, 16th verse. You have seen that now. That is this Nasato Vidyate Bhava, etc. So therefore, this is wrong. For which Vaisheshika says, maybe what you have said is not in accordance with the statement of Bhagavan Krishna, but what you have said is something given to Nyaya, reasoning. It is Tarka Sammata. It is given to reasoning, it is reasonable. There is no problem accepting that. To this answer is given, sir, it is not given to reasoning, it is not Yukti Sammata. As you have seen yesterday, that if we accept this, it will be Pramana Virodha. It's against all Pramanas. There will be what is called as Avishwasa. No one will trust in the Pramana Vyavahara. How? A non-existent entity becomes existent, and existent entity becomes non-existent. Now, if this happens, how can you ascertain any given thing is or not? You thought it is, and it discovered it is not. And you thought it is not, again it is. This is what which goes against all the Pramana Vyavahara. And therefore, people will not have trust in Pramanas in ascertaining the existence or non-existence of any entity. So, that means a definite nishchaya, decision, whether it is or not, cannot be arrived at. Now, still another reason why, that is, Vaisheshika is wrong, will be seen now. Read from Kincha Utpadyate.
Kincha utpadyate iti dvyanukadehe dravyasya swakarana satta sambandham ahuhu.
So now another argument is being started. See, you are telling, according to you, now when you say Dravya, Atma also included, okay, separately the Atma is not taken into account because They have got 9 Nitya Dravyas, things, entities, out of which Atma is one. Now, you are telling the Karya, effect, Dravya, entity, which includes Atma also, was non-existent earlier when it was the form of Karana Paramanus. And then what happened? Sayoga, connection with Samavayi, Asamavayi, Nitya, Nimitta, Karanas, causes took place. Dravya came into existence, Atma came into existence. Remained for some time. After what happened? It became non-existent. This we have already pointed out. Pramana Vyavahara is not even. Other thing, you are telling that is the cause becomes the effect Dravya because of connection with the Sayama, that is that Samavayi, Asamavayi, Nimitta Karana. My dear sir, how can your Samavayi Karana, Asamavayi Karana, Nimitta Karana can have connection with the non-existent Karya? Means before this connection of Samavayi, Asamavayi, Nimitta Karana, your Karya, Dravya was non-existent. Means these Karanas got connected to something which doesn't exist at all and brought forth, produced what? Dravya. Is it ever seen in the world? Now let us see. That is the main point of discussion. Kincha, to add further, means there is still another reason why Vaisheshikas are wrong. What is it? You said, Utpadyate. Put in the inverted comma. Utpadyate. It means Karya Dravya, the effect for Dravya, which includes Atma, that keep Atma in mind. The effect called Dravya is what? Born from cause Paramanu. Did you not say? Yes. Okay. Iti, that's what happens. You thereby, iti, add there, adhyara, vachanena. By your statement, the Dravya is born. By this statement, what you say, what do you mean? Dvanukadehe Dravyasya Swakarna Satta Sambandha. Dvanuka, I already explained you, Dvanuk, Tranuk, etc. Dvanukadehe Dravyasya. What Dravyasya? Karya Dravyasya. Dravya, which is now Karya. It is Dvanuk, Tranuk. Dvanuk means two Paramanus combining together, one entity. Tranuk means three Paramanus combining together, Tranuk, like Chaturanga goes on. So, now this Dravyasya, which Dravyasya? Karya Dravyasya, Dvanuk, etc. Dravyasya, which is Dvanukadi, Swakarana Satta Sambandham Ahu. You are talking that this Dravya is from Karana, means you are talking about the Sambandha, relation between the effect Karya Dravya and the cause Paramanu. You have to accept that what they say, Ahu. Okay? Now, explain me this. This what you mean by that is, what you Vaisheshika means by the connection relation of the effect dravya with its cause paramanu is this. Continue. Pragutpatteshta. Pragutpatteshta asat.
Yes, sir. प्रागुत्पत्तेः च असत् पश्चात् स्वकारणव्यापारम् अपेक्ष्य स्वकारणैः परमाणुभिः सत्तया च समवायलक्षणेन सम्बन्धेन सम्बध्यते.
Now this means what you mean by earlier statement. That is, the dravyas like Dhanuk etc. are what that is connected to its karana, paramana, etc. That is what you mean. It means, it is explained further by the Bhashyaka or Siddhanti. That is, pragutpattehe cha and adhyara karya. Asat. The karya, effect, for example, Dhanuk etc. Utpattehe prak. Before they were born, they were asat. They were non-existent. That is what your philosophy says. Then what happens? Paschat. Afterwards. Swakarana vyaparam. Swakarana vyaparam is Shashi Tatpurusha. Swakaranasya vyaparam apeksha. Apeksha with the help of, depending on the vyapara activity with its karana, namely paramanus. Swakaranaihi paramanvi, along with its cause, dravya's cause, namely paramanus, sattaya. Sattaya means by, that is, existence in the sense, anything that is there has got sat existence. So therefore, satta, existence is most common in all. That means by connection with sat things that are said to be what? Which you are telling non-existent earlier. Sattaya, by satta, existence, samavaya lakshanena, that is with samavaya lakshana. Samavaya lakshana with what? The karya, the dravya, which are non-existent earlier, which are there in the, which were not there in the paramanus. Sattaya, samavaya lakshanena, sambandhena sambadhyate. They are connected with the relation called samavaya. It means only this much, that this, the non-existent effect dravyadi, before, which were non-existent before the utpatti birth, now gets connected with the samavaya etc. means samavaya etc. gets connected to a non-existent entity, the dravya karya, before utpatti. You keep only this much in mind. An existent entity, samavaya etc. gets connected to non-existent entity, which is the condition before birth of the effect. Means you are speaking of a connection between a non-existent entity and an existent entity. This much it means. So, sambandhate. And then what happens? Continue.
संबद्धं सत् कारण समवेतं सत् भवति.
Sambandham sat means having got connected. What having connected? The samavaya with non-existent karya. Sat, being, so, being connected. Karana Samavetam, being always, Samaveta means which is always connected. Being always connected to the Karana, namely Paramanus. Sat Bhavati, the Dravya, Karya becomes Sat, existent one. In short, the Samavaya, etc., existent in nature, get connected to non-existent Dravyas, Karya, and along with the cause Paramanu comes into existence called actual Dravya, thus entity, Karya, effect. Except, you have to accept, is it not? Come on now. Answer my question now. What is that? Continue. Tatra.
तत्र वक्तव्यम कथम असतः सत् कारणं भवेत् संबंधः वा केनचित् स्यात्
Please continue.
नहि वन्ध्यापुत्रस्य सत्ता संबंधः वा कारणं वा केनचित् प्रमाणतः कल्पयितुं शक्यम्.
If you understand this, everything will be clear now. My dear sir, come on. You have to answer this now. Tatra. Tatra means in your theory of Karya effect coming into existence from the Karana. Vaktavyam. You are supposed to clarify this. You are supposed to answer this. What is that? Number one. Katham. How come? Asataha sat karanam bhavi. Asataha. Asataha means what? Of the non-existent one. What is the non-existent one? The Karya thing or the Dravya. Sataha karanam bhavet. No, not Sataha. Sat karanam bhavet. How can an existent entity can be the cause of another non-existent entity? How can your Dravya, which are non-existent before Utpatti birth, how can they get connected with an existent cause called Paramanus? Number one question. Number two, Sambandha va kenachit syat. The Sambandha, connection of a non-existing entity can be with which existing entity? How can a non-existent entity get connected to any existent entity? Number two. Number three, these are the two questions. Now for this, an illustration is given to make it clear, to show that these two things are not possible. What are two things now? A non-existent effect cannot get connected to any existent cause. And that having got so connected, so Sambandha va kenachit that the connection, relation of a non-existent entity, how can it be with any existent entity? Now it becomes clear. What is that? For example, say, Vandya Putra said, these three things are not possible for any non-existent entity. For example, Vandya Putrasya, in the case of a son of a barren woman, means non-existent entity. See, son of a lady who had no children Can it be existent? No. The stock example Vedanta. Vandya putrasya. Number one, said, how can anyone imagine these three things? First thing is satta. Has the Vandya putra, son of a barren woman, any existence? It doesn't exist. The word may be there. See, the word gives an impression that someone is there. But really it cannot have existence. Like, see, if this is on the Shashavishana, horn of a rabbit. Has it got any existence? No. So therefore, number one, satta. Sambandhava, that is a Vandya putra getting connected, related to someone else. See, this lady is the wife of that Vandya putra. Can you relate anyone like this? No. Va, Karanam va, who is the cause of Vandya putra? Can you say? The cause, mother, let us say here, mother. That barren woman is the mother of Vandya putra. He is not in existence. Mean, for a non-existent entity, you cannot fix these three things. You cannot attribute satta, existence to it. You cannot establish the relation sambandha of a non-existent entity with anything else. Nor can you point out any cause of a non-existent entity. These three things keep in mind. A non-existent entity, say, cannot have existence. A non-existent entity cannot have connection, relation with anything. A non-existent entity cannot have any cause. If you show us this is possible, then your theory is correct. A non-existent dravya, because of connection with samavaya, etc., came into existence and again becomes afterward non-existent. These three you can point out. So that is what karanva. Kenachit pramanataha kalpatim na yudhar nahi beginning. Nahi shakyam. No one can ever imagine any existence of a non-existent entity, any connection of non-existent entity with something else, or cause of a non-existent entity cannot be pointed out. So therefore, your statement that asat karya, effect, like your dravyas, etc., are born from earlier their non-existence. They continue for some time and again become non-existent. You cannot establish based on tarka also. And we have pointed out how pramana virodha is there. For which now Vaisheshika comes, says, look, we are not talking of, that is, connection of a non-existent entity with something. Then what are we talking? Let us see. Read Nanu.
ननु न एवं वैशेषिकैः अभावस्य संबंधः कल्प्यते.
Nanu is the Purva. It is not means. It is not here in the Purva Paksha. Indeed, Vaisheshika retorts now. No, sir. We don't say that. Vaishesh, or it can be some observing person. Vaisheshikai, by the Vaisheshika, followers of Vaisheshika thought, evam, as you have pointed out, say, Abhavasya sambandha na kalpyate. Sir, we are not talking about a connection of non-existence with something. He explains. Continue.
द्व्यणुकादीनां हि द्रव्याणां स्वकारणेन समवायलक्षणः सम्बन्धः सताम् एव उच्यते इति.
So na kalpate means we are not imagining that. Then what? Take Advaya. Satam Dvanukadina Dravyana Eva. Satam Eva is there. Satam Dvanukadina Dravyana Eva Hi Swakaranena Samavaya Lakshanaha Sambandha Uchyate iti. See, what he says is, which is not correct. And if it's correct, he is going against his Siddhanta. He is going against his doctrine, which is called a Apasiddhanta. Apasiddhanta means telling something contrary to one's own doctrine. So what he says is, sir, we are not telling. What he means is like this. Satameva. Verily of those which are existent entities, which are sat existent, means which have got existence, satam eva, which have got existence, of what? Dvanukadina, of Dvanuk, etc., dravyas. Dvanukadina, dravyana, of the dravyas, substances. Eva only means existent only. What we say is, he to emphasize on that, certainly. Swakaranena, with their cause. What are those? Paramanus. Says, no, sir. These effects are existent because they have come into existence. And therefore, what? This existent karya, janukadi, get connected to its cause, paramanus, by what? Samavaya lakshana sambandha. By the samavaya, nitya sambandha, we have said samavaya. So, sambandha. Iti, this is what he says. What he means to say is, the existent Dvanukadi Dravya only get connected with the cause Paramanus, and we don't say that non-existent Dravya get connected to that. It should be clear here. He says first, what he says first? This Karya, Dravya, Dvanukadi, before they are born, were non-existent. That he keeps aside. And now, after birth, what he says, they are born. He takes into account these born Janukadi, which have got existence. So therefore, these Januka, etc., which are in existence nature, get connected with the Paramatma. He forgot what? Before this Sambandha with cause takes place, how were they born? We are referring to the stage earlier to birth, when effect Karya, Janukadi were not existence, non-existent. And he is talking about its cause Paramanu. We say that connection is not possible. But he refers to after their birth, which have got existence according to them with the Paramanu. Putting the cart before the horse. You cannot take into account the Dravya, etc., the Dvanuk, etc., which are already born according to you. We are talking before birth, how they come into existence. Means you are taking for granted the existent one and referring to the non-existent state. So therefore he says, for this, Answer is given by Siddhanti. Continue.
न संबंधात प्राक सत्वान अभ्युपगमात.
Sir, what you say is wrong. Vaishya pointed out wrong. Why? Sambandhat prak. Without the sambandha, connection of non-existent entity with cause, sattvan abhyupagama, means its existence as karya is not accepted. Before being born, how are you talking about the existence? According to you, before they are born, they have no existence. We are referring to that state. And you are referring to the state when they are born. So say, for your birth, sambandha should take place. Of what? Samavaya with the paramanu in the form of karya, which are non-existent. And then you have to talk of the born one. So if that is the case, they are yet to be born. You cannot refer to their existence after being born. So, sambandha prak, before this connection with samavaya, etc., sattvasya anabhipagama, their existence as existent karya dravya na abhipagama is not accepted. Means you can't talk of the existence of effect before actually they are born. So therefore what you say is we are not accepting, it is wrong. Sambandha na means negative, refuted. Before this sambandha with of cause with samavaya, etc., the existence of effect, dravya, etc., is not acceptable. Now again the Vedanta comes. Now you may say, then how in your Vaisheshika may ask like this, then how in your case you are talking of the connection with the connection of nimitta karana, etc., nimitta karana, that is, etc., with the non-existent effect. What he means like this. Before going to the next sentence, we should understand it. Vaisheshika has got in mind. Sir, you Vedantins, what are you talking? From the lump of mud. What is born? What is made, produced? Mud pot. For which? What all things are required? Pot maker is required, kulala. Then a wheel, chakra. I hope you have seen how the these pots are made. The wheel, and then that wheel has to be turned. He has got a stick. With a stick, he goes on turning it. And then once a third, other hand, he gives the shape of it. So all these are required. All these have got connection with what? The pot which is not yet produced. So you are talking that and asking me, how is it possible? That is what he has got in mind, for which answer itself is given. See, we say this. Why? We already made clear in the earlier discussion that we do not say that the pot was not there in the mud. We do accept the existence of pot in the mud. Then you may ask, If the pot already exists in the mud, why are you producing it? We have made it clear. Pot was existent in the mud in avyakta form, in unmanifest form. Means in the mud, a potential pot was there, but not manifest. With this chakra, wheel, stick, pot maker, whatever, it is made now manifest. Vyakta. Therefore, you can't point out any mistake in our theory. An unmanifest existent pot, by all these means, is made manifest existent pot. Are you accepting this? No, they can't accept because they are not accepting the existence of the pot earlier. For them, it is non-existent, and then born as an existent pot. So that's what is pointed out now. Continue.
न हि वैशेषिकैः कुलाल दंड चक्र आदि व्यापारात् प्राक् घटादीनाम् अस्तित्वम् इष्यते.
That na should go with ishyate, na ishyate, nahi ishyate, na cha ishyate, nahi ishyate. Vaisheshikaihi, by you, followers of Vaisheshika. Prak, before what? Before actual making of the pot, which is that kulala, pot makers, danda, stick, chakra, that is wheel, adi, for water, etc. Adi, vyaparat prak. Before actual process of making the pot took place, before that, you, Vaisheshika, what do you not accept? Ghatadinam astitvam naishyati. You do not accept the existence of the pot before the actual process of producing it takes place. We Vedantin accept. How? As already pointed out, in unmanifest form. Before this process of producing the pot took place, pot was already in the mud, in a potential form, and unmanifest form. And this process gave it a manifest form, which you are not accepting. According to pot was not earlier, and it came into existence. Non-existent came into existence. See? This is what what is that? Vaisheshikas have to say. They don't accept. Now here, who is brought is, continue, nacha brudaha.
न च मृदः एव घटादि आकार प्राप्तिम् इच्छन्ति.
Again, you don't accept this. This is Sankhya Mata. What you say is, see, mud was there or not? Mud itself undergoes a change, what is called a parinama, and becomes a pot. Mud was there, existed, and something took place, and it went parinama. Parinama means some change in that, and it became the pot. This is Sankhya Mata. Sankhya Mata will be refuted afterward, but here he only pointed out, you don't accept Sankhya Mata also. Mud was there, that is that. Mrudaha eva. From the mud itself. Mrudaha means from mud itself. Ghatadyakara prapti. Gaining the form. Which form? A newly born pot. So, from the mud, Newly, a pot is born, afresh. See, they also don't accept the existence there. Praptim means gaining, means producing a pot from the mud only, but newly, afresh and new. This Sankhya Mata, this also you don't accept. So therefore what happens? Remaining one, this you have to accept. What is that remaining one? Continue.
ततः च असतः एव सम्बन्धः पारिशेष्यात् इष्टः भवति.
The only alternative is what is acceptable. Use this. Tataha, because the reasons given now. Asataha eva, from a non-existent effect. Sambandha, connection. Parishesha, because the remaining possibility. Ishtaha bhavati, becomes acceptable to you. Means that because of these two reasons. Tataha, this because of these two reasons. What are those? Number one, you are not accepting the existence of the pot in unmanifest form before the actual process of producing took place, which Vedanta is accepting. You are not accepting. Again, the other possibility is that what Sankhya has to say. We don't say Sankhya is correct, the wrong will be seen afterward. But what they have to say, mud was there by parinama, by some change in that pot is born. This also you don't accept. Therefore, the third alternative remaining is what is acceptable to you. What is that? That is the non-existent pot got connected to samavayi sambandha, asamavayi sambandha, and nimitta karana. So, and became the pot. Ishtaha bhavati means has to be accepted by you. This is what you are accepting. Now, for this, Vaisheshika gives the answer. What is it? He says, we are not talking about that. What is it? Continue. No.
असतः अपि समवायलक्षणः सम्बन्धः न विरुद्धः.
He argues like this. Sir, what you said is not correct. Why? Samavayi, Karana, etc. can get connected to non-existent pot. Now let us give the pot and mud examples only, not dravya and paramana, etc. Same thing. What you say is a non-existent entity, like whether you say dhanukadi or a pot, etc., is what connected to the this sabhava, etc., the causes. This is not opposed, naviruddha. There is no contradiction in that. Means he says, in saying that the non-existent pot means non-existence, get connected with the samavaya, etc., the means. Nothing wrong in that. Is it? Come on now. Says, Siddhanti says, my dear sir, you explain me this. Continue.
न वन्ध्यापुत्रादीनाम् अदर्शनात्.
Sir, what you say is not correct. No, refutes, no. How come? Look here. Vandhya putradinam adarshana. You can add there like this. Vandya Putradina add Kenachidapi Sambandha. Kenachidapi Sambandha Adarshana. Sir, in the case of totally non-existent entities, such as son of a barren woman, horn of a hare, etc. Kenachidapi Sambandha no darshana, adarshana. Connection with anything whatsoever is not seen. Can you talk of the connection of Vandhyaputra as father with some person or mother as some lady? See, he is the father of Vandhyaputra. What's connection now? Father and the son. Can you point out? He is the son of that lady. Can you connect that lady as mother and this as? No. A non-existent entity cannot be connected to anything whatsoever. So therefore, you can't say that the non-existent effect, Janukadi or pot, etc., got connected to the Samavai, Asamavai, and Nimitta Karanas. You can't say. Now he may say, sir, why are you that so particular about an example of Vandhyaputra? Vandhyaputra is never existed one. We are talking about the non-existence of an entity which is existent now. The pot is now. Janukadi are now. Earlier, before they were born, they were not there. In such case, that earlier, prior, now other word, prior non-existence can give rise to birth of existent entity. Means pot came into existence. Before it was produced, it was not there, non-existent. So therefore, he is qualifying that non-existence of the pot as prior non-existence. The same, better you know that pot is broken. No more pot, non-existent. He calls it as posterior non-existence. Prior non-existence of the pot was produced, existent pot got destroyed, posterior non-existent the pot. In such case, that prior non-existence of the effect can get connected with the karana and become existent. Vandhyaputra may not be possible. It never is. But here something is there. This is the argument of the Vaisheshika for which it pointed out. My dear sir, you cannot establish any distinction between different types of non-existence. Non-existence is non-existent. You can't distinguish the different types of non-existence. So therefore, you have no argument to tell. In the case of Vandhyaputra, such connection is not possible. But in case of prior non-existence of the pot is possible, because he can't say posterior non-existence. Posterior non-existence cannot again be born as effect, for which you cannot give any argument. This is the sum and substance of the argument that is going to come now. Continue. Ghatadeva.
घटादेव प्रागभावस्य स्वकारणसम्बन्धः भवति न वन्ध्यापुत्रादे अभावस्य तुल्यत्वे अपि इति विशेषः अभावस्य वक्तव्यः.
So if you argue only in the case of prior non-existence of what is that effect, ghata, pot, etc. The connection with the its means of producing it takes place, but not in the case of Vandhyaputra. To say so, you have to give the reason for that. It means like this. Ghatadehe eva. Only in the case of pot, cloth, which gain existence after they are produced. In the case only, pragabhavasya. Yes, pragabhavas. Or you take Anvaya like this. Abhavasya tulyatve api. Take Anvaya like this. Abhavasya tulyatve api. Ghatadehe eva. Pragabhavasya swakarana sambandha bhavati. Vandhyaputradehe स्वकारण संबंध न अगेन भवति इति एड चेत इति चेत अभावस्य विशेषः वक्तव्यः अभावस्य विशेषः. See like this. See, look. Keep in mind, you cannot distinguish non-existence as of different varieties. This is such non-existence. There's other type of non-existence, and third one is still other type of non-existence. You cannot distinguish. That being the case, says abhavasya tulyatve api. The abhava, that is prior non-existence of the pot, tulyatve api, being the same as non-existence of the Vandhyaputra, son of a barren woman. When this is so, Ghatadehe eva pragabhavasya. Only in the case of pragabhava, prior non-existence of ghata, pata, etc. What happens? Swakarana sambandha bhavati. Only the prior non-existence of the pot, cloth, etc. gets connected to its cause. Just as the pot gets connected to mud, cloth gets connected to threads. From threads, the cloth is made. So, cloth, of course, cotton cloth, not other yarns, etc. So, the cloth is connected to its cause, who, the threads. So, only in the case of the prior example of this, bhavati, whereas, say, Vandhyaputradehi, the non-existence of, what is that, son of a barren woman, or horn of rabbit, etc., or your horn, okay? So, Vandhyaputradehi, karana sambandha na bhavati, swakarana. have no connection with their cause. Actually, they have no cause also. But here, Sambandha talk spoken, and because example of mud, etc. is taken. Swaka Sambandha na bhavati iti chet. If you argue, say, Visheshaha, distinction. Distinction between the prior non-existence of the pot, etc., and non-existence of Vandyaputra, Shashavishana, you have to say, you have to describe. Visheshaha, Vaktavyaha, you have to tell us. Afterwards, he points out, no human can describe any distinction of abhava of this, abhava of that, etc. That will be seen in the evening now. So that means you cannot point out the distinction of different types of varieties of abhavas, and therefore you cannot prove that only the prior non-existence of pot is born as a pot, but from Vandyaputra nothing is born. You can't prove. We'll see that. I hope it's too much for you. Okay, bear it. Now it is going to get over. It's not much now. But one thing, when the lengthy bhashya of verse 50 and 55 comes, you have to be alert. You have to assimilate it. Oh, there is no such purupakshas there. It's only unfoldment of how the problem comes into existence and how the remedy is related to it. Very, very useful, because unless you have the clarity about the diagnosis of samsara, you will not have that conviction or necessity of taking to the means, such as mainly vairagya, etc. How this samsara has come into existence, if that is clear to you, you will be convinced about the necessity of vairagya, which is difficult for a common person. The pull of sense pleasure is so powerful. How come, why, etc.? For which we should know where exactly the problem lies. This is very elaborately, with mathematical precision, is described in the Bhasya of verse 50. And as far as verse 55 is concerned, what exactly is the nature of jnana, Atma Jnana, Brahma Jnana, Bhagavad Jnana, and how and why the means meant for jnana nishtha, steadfastness in the Atma Brahma Jnana, its how and why is elaborated. There are not Purvapakshas there. Other doctrines are not in there, but is an elaboration of the principles in Vedanta in terms of diagnosis and its remedy. Here little tough, maybe there because we are not accustomed with just such argument, which are very common in Nyaya. Okay. Oh.
स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु। काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणा सन्तु निर्भयाः। ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।